Yet he a man diligent in his duties. He will work before kings and not mean men. The book for review today is the Theology of Work, Understanding God's Mind for Work. And the author of the book, Bidemi Mark-Mordi, is a wisdom coach and kingmaker. She's the apostolic lead for the Well Oasis Apostolic Ministries and a member of the John C. Maxwell Founders Circle coaching team. She is fondly called and has authored 23 books, including this one for review today. She's fondly called the BMM. Sounds like BMW. Good morning.
How are you doing? Good morning. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thanks for being here and sharing your inspiration with us. So quickly talk to us. You've authored 23 books, and this is the 24th one.
Yes.
What inspired this particular book?
Okay, I was at a work conference, a HR conference, that was in 2019. And the conversation was around the future of work.
Okay.
And a lot of people were, all the facilitators were talking about how the face of work and how work is done is changing. And as I sat down and I listened, I realized that everybody was focused on the dynamism of work and how work was changing. But very few people were talking about what had to remain about work. When I left there, I started to think about the fact that even if everything changes concerning how we do work, there must be things that formulate the foundation of work that shouldn't change. And that was what gave rise to the research that brought about this book, yes.
I mean, this book is, other than the theological part of it, there's also so much that a lot of young people these days can learn from the book. Because it also gives a broader understanding of why work is important.
Exactly.
Why it's necessary, why it's a part of living, really.
True.
Now, talk to us about, your first chapter. What is work?
Yes, work. A lot of people think that work is a means to an end. It's something I do so that I get money, so that I can live my life.
A source of living.
A source of living. So if I get work, it doesn't matter what the kind of work I do is, as long as I'm paid enough to pick up my bills and do the things that I need to do, that's well. But work is beyond that. Work is a channel, is a vehicle through which, number one, order is brought into places where there's chaos. Because when you think about what your work does, your work is information, is entertainment. What happens when someone maybe is down in the doldrums, maybe feeling sad in a moment, and you talk about something here on Wake Up Nigeria, and then their spirits are lifted. It's beyond what you're paid.
Right.
You have impacted someone's life and moved them, recalibrated their environment and their feeling in that moment to take them where they need to go. So work is beyond something we do to earn money. Work is what God is giving us so that we can become an extension of himself to bring about order when there is chaos.
Right.
That's number one. Work is also a channel through which God commits wealth to people. Now, that's why when someone doesn't have a visible means of income and they begin to do big things, we begin to wonder, where do they find the money? What are they doing that we do not know about?
Right.
So everyone who wants to create enduring wealth has to figure out what work to do, because work is a channel and a vehicle through which God commits finances and wealth into the hands of his people.
Great. I'll just read a quote here that to not work is to be disorderly, and to work effectively is to live without noise.
Yes.
Which is something you mentioned about.
Yes.
Without work, it brings orderliness.
Yes.
It eradicates chaos.
Exactly.
It brings structure,
Yes.
basically. Now let's talk about the nature of work. So I have a lot of young people that I mentor, and I always say to them that value is very important.
True.
Value is an exchange of money for the work that you do. So, and I'm very happy about something that you said, which was very profound: impact. I think that's one of the things critical element people fail to understand about work: adding impact, adding value.
Yes.
And so let's look at the nature of work, which you broadly, explained in chapter 3 of the book.
So when we think about the nature of work, is looking at work in its essence. What does work constitute, and what does work do? So let's begin from, if you don't mind, just go quickly pick into the Bible with me in Genesis 1:28. That's where God gave what we call the dominion mandate: be fruitful, multiply, subdue the earth, replenish the earth, subdue it, and have dominion. In those 5 steps, work is productivity. So for work to be work, it must be producing something. And you talked about solutions, you talked about value just now. So if your work is not giving the vibe of solution, if your work is not bringing answers to problems, there is something fundamentally wrong with the nature of that work. So productivity, multiplication, every work you do must be able to expand. So you start, I'm not sure you started right on Wake Up Nigeria, I'm not sure. But if you did, I'm sure with the time that you've spent and how you've gotten used to doing what you're doing, they'll expand it, or you would expand to other things. So your work would multiply, is the nature of work. But by far the most important part of work that I like is that work must be what I call native to you. They won't put someone on your chair today who is not articulate. Articulation is not something you learned in school. You were born with it. Even if you had to go to school to hone your skills in that area, to know what obtains in the economy that you will live in, but it started with something that is innate on the inside of you. So I say work must be work that you are good for. Are you good for the work that you do? Why take work just because it will pay the bills? You come in sighing, you leave hissing. It reduces the lifespan of people when we take up work that doesn't give you the capacity to be able to do the things that you want to do with joy, seeing the results that you bring forth. So work must pay you as well. Work must pay you as well. While you don't work so that you get paid, work when it's done properly would always give you leverage. It will bring you to places. It will open doors for you. And it will just make you relevant in the society that you live in. I mean, this is just me picking a few of those things just to highlight them so that you see that work is not, I push a truck. The why of work is greater than I push a truck. If you see that I push a truck, you'll quickly give up. But if you see that when on that truck, I take food stuff from one place to another, which means that I move sustenance from one place to another. It gives more meaning to your work. So work also must be meaningful.
I mean, I'm loving how you are, this is more like an analysis, into the intricacies of what work should be, how it should be seen. An understanding of it. Let's talk about the dignity of work.
Oh my God.
I think that's very, very salient, I'll say. Especially in these times where a lot of people are jumping on the get-rich-quick syndrome bandwagon. And, it is populating the society with a lot of vices today. And it's really sad. Let's delve into the dignity of work, which you explained right here.
The dignity of work was an expression that my mother used to use for us when we were little. And when she would assign a task and you begin to complain or frown or grumble, you know how we think like we're dying now. My mom would say there's dignity in labor. That's what she used to say. And then it just stuck with me. And when I grew up and I began to do work, I found out that the dignity of work is, for me, is how I feel when I've done good work. And even yesterday I was saying to someone, it looks like I would never be satisfied with the quality of work that I do. So the moment I finish work, I tend to say to myself, this is good, but couldn't I have done better? And that keeps driving me. But the feeling that I contributed, the feeling that in my contributing, I brought order to a place where there was possible chaos, is what dignifies work. to make you feel like even if you're a taxi driver and you drive that car with dignity, you are not just moving people from one place to another, you're preserving lives by doing so. And understanding, when I hire a driver, the first thing I say to the driver is, you are not moving a vehicle from place to place. My life is worth something.
Right.
And every time I or my relatives are in the car that you drive, you have been entrusted with not a vehicle, you've been entrusted with the safety of the lives of the people that you move around.
Right.
That's dignifying. Right. So if I'm a driver and I'm going to work today, that's what I begin to think about. I'm going to work, and I'm not going to just move a car from one place to the other. I'm taking my boss somewhere, and when I get to wherever I take my boss to, if I deliver my boss there, well, he may just round off a deal that is 500 million. I have contributed my quota, because if I wasn't driving him, if he wasn't at peace as I was driving him, he probably would not be able to figure out what he would say at his meeting to close the deal. That's the dignity.
Is quite an insightful book. I think everyone should have it. No, not I think. You should. Everyone should have this book, The Theology of Work. I really wish we had all the time to delve into all the chapters, because it is quite, it is very profound, and it is very refreshing as well. It's a refreshing aspect of life to look into, because we are all just carried away with the hustle and bustle, and then we don't really lean into why we are doing what we are doing in the first place. But thank you so much for sharing this with us. We have to head over to the kitchen now. Our chef Wumi has been making something yummy. I hope you like French toast chicken sandwich.
I like food.
Please, shall we?
Thank you.